Hi, this is Chris with Gulo, and we're going to demonstrate how a simple voice search query can bring different results based on the smart device being used. And we'll see how the way you phrase the search request also affects how a device responds. We're going to hear some actual voice search SEO results from Amazon Echo, Google Home, and Apple Siri. Voice search usage is growing, but as you'll see, there are some limitations as to how these devices can respond. The goal for this video is to give you some very basic insights into how voice search works and what techniques can be used to optimize your content so it can be included in voice search results moving forward. Let's first start with Amazon Echo and ask Alexa a simple query about a very popular person, Steve Jobs. If we make a request using the same words that we might type into google.com for information, in this case simply saying Steve Jobs, let's see what Alexa says. Hey Alexa, Steve Jobs.
Okay, here's Inspire Me on creativity. Here's some wise words from Steve Jobs.
As you can hear, Alexa didn't exactly get that right. We are looking for information on him, but not necessarily just inspirational quotes. And this brings up two great points about voice search. Number one, smart devices generally give only one answer, so it's a competitive field. And that is much unlike web SEO, where we get 10 blue links on a search results page from google.com. It also highlights the fact that smart devices work better when you ask them a question. Let's try asking Alexa, who is Steve Jobs? Hey Alexa, who is Steve Jobs?
Stephen Paul Jobs was an American business magnate and investor. He was the chairman, chief executive officer, and co-founder of Apple Incorporated, the chairman and majority shareholder of Pixar, a member of the Walt Disney Company's board of directors following its acquisition of Pixar, and the founder, chairman, and CEO of Next.
Now, this allows us to see a few things happening. Alexa seems to have understood what we were looking for this time. We asked in the form of a question and got what we wanted. So point one is, if you're looking to optimize your website content to be found and used by Alexa or some other smart devices, adding words like who, what, or how to your titles and headers will help you get noticed. Number two, as we look at this screenshot of a Bing.com search query on who is Steve Jobs, and yes, Alexa uses Bing and not Google, we can see exactly where Alexa was reading from. In the green highlighted area to the right, in what is called a snapshot pane, that's the box you sometimes see highlighting a particular popular topic or person to relate to what you're searching on. In this case, the snapshot pane, called a knowledge graph on Google, is pulling information from Wikipedia. So two things here. If you are ranking in the snapshot pane for a particular keyword, you may be the singular choice for Alexa. That's great news. What's interesting though is, if you look at the top of the Bing.com results page, you'll see the number one web SEO ranking goes to Technopedia.com. Even though they are number one for the search term, who was Steve Jobs on the web, they weren't selected for the snapshot pane and therefore were not chosen by Alexa. So we can see that what makes you number one on the web for SEO might not translate directly to voice search SEO. Okay, so let's move on to asking Google Home the same question. Hey Google, who is Steve Jobs?
According to Wikipedia, Stephen Paul Jobs was an American business magnate and investor.
So what we see here is that, not surprisingly, the Google Assistant that powers Google Home pulls results from google.com. But wait, isn't it all kind of looking the same right now? The Google Knowledge Graph to the right is pulling from Wikipedia and is the voice search result of choice. Also in this case, it's biography.com that ranked number one for the web, but didn't make the cut for voice results. But what we heard from Google Home was a much shorter response. It did not read all the sentences from Wikipedia that Alexa did. With some insights, we can see that first sentence on Wikipedia, if it was longer and more descriptive, we would likely have heard more from the Google Home. As a side note, one thing we know about the assistants that power both Google Home and Amazon Echo is they do use Wikipedia as a source of choice for general popular searches. It doesn't mean you don't have a chance to rank for voice search for popular terms, but just be selective and test the keyword you think you want to rank for with voice search. Lastly, let's ask Siri. Hey Siri, who is Steve Jobs?
Thanks for asking about Steve. Here's Apple's webpage about him.
Okay, this is Siri on an iPhone, not giving a voice response at all, but a link to a Steve Jobs memorial webpage. This tells us that due to the instrumental role of Steve Jobs at Apple, they are not optimizing from anywhere on the web. This is a canned response they programmed specifically for this search term. That's why we chose Steve Jobs as our topic, to show how differently each assistant can interpret what information it thinks we want about Steve. As you can see, each device really is unique in how it interprets content and delivers it to voice search. This topic is always changing, but as I said in the beginning, it's growing rapidly and should be something your organization looks into sooner rather than later. My contact info is right here on the screen. Looking forward to hearing from you. Would love to chat about voice search SEO. Thanks.